Is Stolas a bad guy? I mean, I know he's not a guy, he's owl, Goetia, whatever, but the question still stands. Is he a bad guy? This question is something I couldn't get out of my head ever since I saw this comment someone left on my video a few months back. They essentially brought up the inconsistency and me being more in favor of Stolas and Blitz's relationship over the one that's actually more healthy and works that you see with Fizz and Osmodius. And at first, I was kind of taken aback by that because I never really thought too deeply about their relationship, but now that I'm really thinking about it, this might be worth diving into. A lot of people take Stolas' side over Blitz's side, and there is a lot of hypocrisy there. Now that I've actually really sat and thought about it, because I'm like, no, Stolas isn't the bad guy. He's. But then when you really think about it, it's like, hold on, let's actually dive into this.
I was depressed watching this shit, bro, because Blitzo invites him out on a whim. He's like, hey, you want to come to this place or whatever? And then Stolas like, oh, a date? And he's like, yeah, I guess. Then he takes him out. He gets all dressed and dolled up. He shows up. Dude is dismissing him the entire time, the entire night. And I was like, oh, this shit's fucking depressing, bro. He's trying to make small talk. He's trying to make conversation. This man Blitzo does not give a fuck, bro. He's just talking past him.
It all really stems from whose side that you take in the situation. If you're on Blitz's side, you could argue that Stolas is the bad guy. He's the bad person in this situation. And I can see it. I can visualize that perspective, but I'm also going to push back against it because in reflection, it is kind of odd that most fans take Stolas' side over Blitz. I mean, I was one of those guys.
Look at that, bro. Come on. Blitz, lock in. He's trying to lock in. That shit made me so sad, bro. When I was rewatching this shit and he reaches for his hand, I was like, fuck, bro. Why you do that shit? Why you playing with my man's emotions, bro? That shit tore me apart. I don't have the clip here, but after this later, when he drops him off, and then he's like, we could talk, watch a movie. Bro's like, bro, I know what you really want. I was like, no, bro, stop this shit. You're coping. Let that shit go, bro.
You know what? This was a mistake. All right, let's just leave.
I think this all comes from the unfair perspective we have as an audience. We know Stolas isn't messing with Blitz. We see him throw away his marriage and put his relationship with his daughter at risk, all for this one dude. At a certain point, the sacrifices become so much that it's hard not to take his side. At a certain point, Stolas is going to ask himself, what is this all for? Why did I throw all this away just for this one dude if he's not actually going to come through and be a part of my life, That's the thing that we got to really ask ourselves here. I mean, we see Stolas at his absolute worst, and the guy has zero malintent. I don't think targeting Stolas directly is the issue. It's our strange perspective of Blitz that needs attention. Why, when I saw this scene, did I immediately jump to Stolas' defense? Everything I've said applies to Blitz too. We've seen him at his absolute worst, but the difference is a lot of his strife is very mental. It just doesn't feel tangible by comparison. A lot of it happened off screen or in the past, so we just don't have the perspective that we need. We didn't see the breakup with Verosika. We didn't see the falling out with his sister, so it just makes Blitz's problems feel small when they're absolutely not. Someone posted this really interesting thread that was theorizing about the upcoming episodes and how they'll address this relationship. Miss Chloe here brings up a good comparison between Verosika's relationship with Blitz and how it might mirror what's happening here with Blitz and Stolas. There's this folder that Blitz has on his phone that basically says all the people he cares about, and in there's a picture he has of him and Verosika. And if you look at this picture, they seem to be pretty happy together. They got this whole partners in crime thing going on. I can see it. I can see the relationship prospering, Things look chill. Everything looks great. So what happened? Well, she mentions a lot of details from those early episodes that I didn't really think about, so watch this clip from Ozzy's again.
Oh, Blitzo, I used to date.
Oh, Verosika, you're here.
I'd stroke on my later. Yeah, but when it was my turn, he did no reciprocating. A selfish imp in the sheets, and just as bad in the streets. A reckless, heartbreaking freak.
The thing to note here is the line about no reciprocating and calling him a reckless, heartbreaking freak. I had to quote it how she said it, okay? But damn, why you do her like that, Blitz? So a lot of this is a bit shocking because we've seen Blitz relish in the reciprocating, and if you know what I mean. But it's clear at some point he was not interested in Veronica anymore. Or maybe something happened that triggered what we will call the downward spiral.
You mad, Blitzo? You gonna run off, leaving someone else to pay for the hotel room, steal their car, and run 3 rings to Rap and max my credit cards on shitty horse riding lessons?
God damn it, whore, you will not let that go!
Choke on a sandpaper cock.
It seems like Blitz's problems start when the relationship becomes scary for him. Like, things will be fine in the beginning, but once feelings start to catch and he gets invested in the other person, there's this realization of like, oh shit, I don't want the pain that comes with it. And his thinking is very flawed because he thinks about how this is all going to fall apart rather than if it would fall apart, you know? He's already operating under the assumption that he's going to screw it all up. Like, there is no other option there. And thus brings us the downward spiral. This downward spiral will just lead him to ultimately speedrunning the downfall and just getting it out of the way now rather than waiting for it to slowly wither out, because it's just less painful that way. And as for where the source of this defense mechanism comes from, it's hard to say. It could have started with the falling out between him and his sister. It could have started with Veronica. It could have started with something else that we haven't seen, but we don't really know. What we do know is it's clear as day that this is what he's ultimately doing here with Stolas, and that really breaks my heart. At times like this, we just gotta ask ourselves,
why don't you talk to each other? Why don't you talk to each other? Just give it a try. Why don't you talk about what happened? I know you're trying to avoid it, but I don't know why.
oh wait, Stolas tried that. I'm joking. It's impossible for me to not take this dude's side, okay? So I just want to let that be clear. Even though I'm making this video, trying to be objective here, don't get it twisted. I'm on Stolas' side. The point still stands, though. They really just need to talk about some real shit and not the fuck shit, you know? You know, it's fuck shit isn't like talking about fucking, you know? You get it. I'm scared, y'all. This episode might ruin me. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Shout out to Miss Chloe on Twitter. You know, I'll throw her links down there. Go check her out. The thread is much longer. I didn't really go into the nitty-gritty details because, you know, if you want to see her perspective, that's her fuck. If you want to see her perspective, that's her perspective. Go check it out. In the video.
Thank you, Blitz, for making me so happy, even if only for a little while.